Hello and welcome to Data Centre Review Live 2026. This event is all about hearing from some of the industry's leading voices on the big issues shaping the UK data centre sector. Alongside the main stage sessions, we're also catching up one-to-one with key industry voices. I'm joined by Phil Smith from Airsys to get his perspective on where the industry is heading, what needs to change, and how data centres can scale quickly while delivering responsibly. Phil, thank you for joining us. Okay, the UK data centre is under pressure to scale quickly, but also responsibly. From your perspective, what's the biggest single challenge facing the industry right now?
The biggest challenge at the moment is power. As you will hear doubtless from other people, it's a power availability, power scalability on the grid, and actually getting it to your premises in time for when you need it.
It's unsurprising that AI and high-performance computing continues to lead the conversation, both at this event and in the industry as a whole. What do operators need to rethink most urgently when designing or upgrading facilities for these workloads?
The problem is that is AI going to multiply what you do, or are you going to take the same amount of power you've got and just focus it straight onto one set of AI? So the question comes down to what your proposed usage of that AI is going to be. If you're a 100 meg data center and you want to put 200 meg of AI in, you've got to get 100 meg of power. If you haven't got that planned in, you're not going to do it. If you're a 100 meg data center and you want to put 100 meg of AI in, then basically you get rid of the tenants you've already got to focus on the AI. So it comes down to what you're doing at the moment and what realistically is what you want to be long term. So yes, the challenge is how you address your current state to suit that AI requirement.
As you've highlighted, the big challenge that crops up time and time again is access to power. So how should the industry balance growth ambitions with the realities of power access?
If you haven't already got your power sorted, you're not in the game. Realistically, to get on the grid in the south, you need to already have been doing that process and have that power earmarked for you. If you've got a data center in the south where you've got spare capacity, then you have the ability to do that, use that space for AI or whatever that you can get installed. There are, as John Booth said earlier on in his presentation, there are various sites in the Midlands, the North and Scotland, where there are 90 meg of power availability. So if you're looking to increase, establish or develop, then your consideration is, where are you? Does that mean you move? Do you add? Do you supplement with existing and new spaces elsewhere?
All this is happening at a time when the country is looking to decarbonise, and data centres have been highlighted as having a large impact on the environment. So where do you see the biggest opportunity for the industry to reduce its environmental impact while still pursuing an aggressive growth strategy?
If you look at what uses energy in your data centre, you've got the IT. You can't do anything about the IT. That is your power load. It's what supports the IT that then adds on to it. So if you've got 90 meg of IT and 10 meg of support, cooling, power infrastructure, that gives you your 100 meg. If you make the power infrastructure and the cooling 8 meg instead, that still gives you 98 meg of power versus 100. So without addressing what the IT uses, really you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic of that data center industry. You've got to attack the data center usage of the IT, and then you can focus as well on the power infrastructure. So from our perspective, free cooling. We incorporate free cooling into a lot of our products, which means that our energy usage for that section of the overall is reduced. But without addressing the IT power usage, really it's a rather minor consideration. So you've got to look at it in the whole.
One of the biggest challenges and something that's been discussed on stage today is public trust. The industry appears to be struggling with communication and has been vilified by some elements of society. So what does it need to do to build public trust and explain its value to the UK economy?
Well, we need clear explanation of what a data center is, what it does, and how it achieves what it's doing. So in the UK, If you look on LinkedIn, various posts, everyone's bemoaning data centers because they use large volumes of water. The UK uses practically zero evaporative cooling within data centers, and it's evaporative cooling that uses the water supply and forms in the public's mind a bad reason for data centers. Take America, for example, most of their data centers are cooled by evaporative cooling, and that's why there have been vast amounts of negative press about data centers in America because of the water they're using, causing droughts and getting data centers banned in certain areas. That design philosophy is not used in the UK, but we are seeming to be tarred with the same brush, even though we don't use evaporative. We use closed loop cooling, we use free cooling, and all manner of other techniques that try to mitigate and minimize the energy that we use in data centers. You can't escape the amount of energy that data centers use. And as I say, that is primarily down to what's required to run the IT itself. So the public needs to understand that a data center uses large volumes of energy, not wastefully, but it does use large volumes of energy. But that then enables the public to use their mobile phones, to do their banking, to do all the other actions that they do on apps, because those apps rely on data centers. So they need to trade the ease of use of their life versus the amount of energy that data centers are purported to use. And it's getting that message out in a clear and accessible and understandable way that doesn't preach to the public, but really just tells them the truth. And I don't know whether we have done that properly, but we do need to do that.
Sure, that makes sense. Meeting future demand isn't just going to come from new build sites, which are the ones that tend to get the most opposition. So a lot will depend on upgrades, retrofits, and operational improvements across existing facilities. So what should operators prioritise when they're improving, modernising legacy infrastructure?
Most legacy sites have been around 10, 15, 20 years, are dense with IT, dense with existing services, cooling and power to enable that site to work. Now, what that means is it becomes very difficult to upgrade. There's no space to work. So legacy has tended to just stay as it is, improve the efficiency where you can, change a box for the same size box if you can. Otherwise, it really is left to run. The focus should really then be on new build that you can build and then depopulate legacy to give you a new facility that has become more efficient. You could then scale down your legacy, do something else with it perhaps. But yeah, doing something with the legacy is very, very difficult. New build requires somewhere new to build. You've then got the issues of, is it greenfield, is it brownfield? Have you got the power available to build it? Because you can't take the power from the legacy until you've got the new facility set up. So that's the problems that we foresee is how you square that circle.
Understandable. Okay. One last question then. Looking ahead to the next generation of UK data centres, what do you think is going to separate the leaders from the rest of the pack in the next 3 to 5 years?
Product portfolio, realistically. It's what's going to suit best what's coming, because are the data centers going to grow? Or are the data centers actually going to reduce in size because the way that the IT is treated changes? So if you take liquid cooling, for example, liquid cooling doesn't require large chilled water infrastructure. You can get a higher density of cooling out of a smaller box. You could then put more of them in, or you could have a smaller facility to give you the same cooling. Liquid cooling is going to be the way that most centers will go, but it could be liquid cooling where you've got racks with liquid cooling onto the server. It could be immersion, it could be two-phase, it could be direct-to-chip, all the technologies that are being espoused at the moment to deal with those higher heat loads. But they will require there to be a high heat load to be treated. And it's that argument that needs to be discussed and rationalized, because is the overall IT load going to grow? Is that market going to take off, or is it going to reconcile itself with new technology that creates lower heat, for example, that requires less? So it's being ready to adapt to what that market's going to change to. So I think liquid cooling is going to dominate and address how people manufacture their products. But not everything is going to be that liquid cooled. You're going to still have legacy. You're going to have people that are doing smaller data centers with more traditional air cooled means. That means you've got to have a portfolio that encompasses all of those options. And hopefully that's where we're going to be.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us today, Phil. For more conversations and insight from Data Center Review Live 2026, head to the DCR website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us across our social channels. But for now, thanks for watching.